Connecticut basketball on SNY is brought to you by Samuel Adams. Tonight, the defending national champions look to snap a two-game losing streak as they host the Bulldogs of Yale. Connecticut coming off a heartbreaker over the weekend. They led Texas, ranked 6th in America, in the final seconds, and then Jonathan Holmes broke free into the corner and the dagger as he delivered the game-winning three-pointer as Texas on the road stunned the Huskies here at Gamble 55-54. And to make matters worse, adding insult to injury, Connecticut's leading scorer Ryan Boatwright suffered a sprained ankle on the play. Spent much of this week in a walking boot, but as we get a look at him out here tonight, he looks fine. He is going to be in the starting lineup for the Huskies tonight. Hi, everybody. Gary Apple alongside the former Providence head coach. It's Tim Welsh. This is a Connecticut team that won their opening 3 games of the season, but now, Timmy, they've lost 2 consecutive. What must they do to get back on track and continue to improve?
Well, basically, it's their offense. In the West Virginia game, they had too many turnovers. They never got into a flow. Part of that was caused by West Virginia's pressure, but they're just not comfortable offensively. And in the Texas game, they had a lot of good looks, open looks from the perimeter, but they just couldn't knock them down. They're shooting a dreadful number, 29% on the season, as we see, and they're low in the bottom part of the nation in assists, only 9 per game. So Kevin Ollie's got to get his players comfortable with each other on the offensive end of the floor, and they just got to make a few shots from the perimeter to get things loosened up. Ryan
Boatwright, not the only Husky who's been hurting. Rodney Purvis did not play in the Texas game because he's been dealing with a high ankle sprain. He is expected to play tonight. Omar Calhoun yet to play this year after suffering that sprained knee in October. He did practice a couple of days this week, but he will not play once again tonight. As for Yale, they lost their season opener to Quinnipiac in double overtime, but since then they've run off 7 of 8. It's a very good team. They will challenge Harvard in the Ivy League. How good are they? And give us a scouting report.
Well, they've played 9 games. It's only the first week of December, and James Jones wanted to challenge this team with all 5 starters coming back, and it starts with Javier Durham, the point guard, who has really been a terrific leader, a guy who can make things happen, a 6'4" point guard, and then, of course, Justin Sears, who a year ago was first-team All-Ivy League, do-everything player in their 19-win season. He injured his wrist over the summer and really has not recovered from it. He's recovered from it physically, but just his timing is not there from the perimeter because he can face out, he can make jump shots from the perimeter, and also he's very good around the basket.
Well, UConn beat Yale by 18 points a season ago. Tonight, the Bulldogs, once again, they've got revenge on their minds. There's the freshman, Daniel Hamilton, and the big man, Amita Brima. They're getting set. We've got the starting lineups and the opening tip when we come back from Storrs, Connecticut in a moment. UConn men's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Subaru of New England. Love what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By People's United Bank. People's United Bank has checking choices that are right for you. Visit peoples.com or your local branch. Member FDIC. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Single game tickets for the defending national champion UConn men's and women's basketball teams now on sale. Go to UConnTickets.com to get in on all the action. Right now, let's welcome in the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. It's Kareth Berg.
Hi, Gary. I want to tell you about the tone at practice because after 2 straight losses, the Huskies know they have to get better, and they say it starts with shooting. Versus West Virginia, they were 3 for 17 on three-point shooting. Versus Texas, they were 3 for 16. So Kevin Ollie encouraged the players this week to spend extra time at the gym outside of practice. Do it on your own and put up some extra shots. They also need better ball movement. Associate head coach Glenn Miller said, if you look at our assists, they're in the single digits, 8 or 9 a game. Miller says he wants that number to be at 14 assists at least, so the Huskies know they're finding the open man, they're getting the better looks at the basket and sinking those shots. You know, the Huskies have only lost or have only once under Kevin Ollie lost 3 straight games. The tone at practice was, that's not going to happen again. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Kareth, let's get a look at tonight's starting lineup presented by Toyota. Terrence Samuel will get his 2nd career start for Connecticut. And on the Yale side, Javier Durham, their leading scorer. They've got veterans, 3 seniors and 2 juniors in their starting lineup. Let's get a look at the series history. They've been playing basketball, Connecticut and Yale, for a long time. Tonight is the 67th meeting. Goes back to the 1914-1915 season. Connecticut is on a 13-game winning streak against the Bulldogs. We are ready here at Campbell, Connecticut in the home grays. Yale in their visiting blue uniforms. It's Brima jumping for the Huskies and Sears for Yale, and it's controlled by Connecticut. There's Ryan Boatwright, the ankle at about 90%, we're being told, Tim.
Yale will mix and match their defenses. They're going to start in the tough man-to-man. They'll also throw a little 2-3 zone at the Huskies.
Ryan Boatwright pulling up from the left side, rattles out, and there's Sears with the rebound.
Shot did not go in, but good explosiveness off the dribble. On the bounce, looks like the ankle's improved.
Armani Cotton left wide open from the right side. Armani Cotton, first bucket of the game. He's averaging just over 6 on the year. He's got 3 so far tonight as Yale takes an early 3-0 lead.
They're going to put up the threes. They take about 21 per game.
There's the big man, Mita Brima, the 10-foot jump shot. They need to see more of that out of him.
Well, down in the box, Matt Townsend gives him a little bit too much room. You've got to get up and crowd Brima when he catches it that far from the basket, because he can knock that shot down.
Cotton being guarded by Hamilton. There's Matt Townsend, backdoor Montague, one of the best three-point shooters in America. And speaking of knocking it down from deep, there's Matt Townsend, the senior out of Chappaqua, New York, and the Bulldogs out of the gate quickly. Big crowd here tonight at Campbell Pavilion. It's filled to the rafters, and a lot of Yale fans here. We can hear the Yale chants early. Daniel Hamilton, too hard off the back iron. Here's Cotton coming out of there. Duran from way downtown, not even close.
Well, Duran needs to take that ball, try to get into the paint, challenge the interior of UConn's defense.
Ryan Boatwright, the leading scorer in the American Conference, just over 20 a game so far. Shot clock at 15. Kenton Facey not even close. The big man Brima comes down with it and right into our monitor.
Well, Yale will space the floor. They will drive it into the gap, and then they will go 4 or 5 out because they have a plethora of shooters on the perimeter. Townsend, the big guy, he plays the 5 spot, but he likes to step out and face from that just inside the 3-point line. And UConn a little uneasy at the start.
Daniel Hamilton has already taken a seat here, just about 2.5 minutes into the game. Rodney Purvis has checked in. Sears, beautiful up fake. Montague gives up the open one, made it a little bit tougher on himself.
Gary, Yale is very difficult to defend when they're in a good rhythm from the perimeter because they space the floor. They're very unselfish. They'll change sides of the floor 2 or 3 times, and you can see they'll go and get after it and hustle with 5 returning starters from a year ago where they won 4 postseason games in the CIT and lost in the finals at Murray State.
83% of their scoring from a season ago is back, along with 73% of their rebounding. So they've got veteran leadership. Brima may have shuffled, but there's a beautiful baby hook. He's got all the points so far for the Huskies.
Well, Yale may want to adjust defending Mita Brima. I mean, with Terrence Samuel in the game, he is not a threat from the perimeter. They could send another defender at Brima.
Sears. Cotton, and there's Duran from the left side. And that foul's going to go on Armani Cotton, the first on the Bulldogs, first on the team.
Well, the improvement of Mita Brima is seen right here on this play in the box. Not only his ability to make moves around the basket, but call for the basketball and the confidence his teammates have in delivering it to him.
Brima just 1 of 7 from the floor in that loss to Texas. Samuel, quick step along the baseline, but quickly cut off and then dipping under. That's a great move right there by Terrence Samuel, the sophomore, as I mentioned, getting his 2nd start of the season.
A little Brooklyn and Terrence Samuel on that one. The C's opened and he delivered.
There's Sears, not the most conventional jump shot. Not even close. Rodney Purvis losing it, but there's Samuel to pick it up. Bad pass, there's Duran stepping into the passing lane. Javier Duran averaging just over 14 a game. Puts Yale back on top.
Well, nice play by Duran, but a dreadful pass by Samuel. Just telegraphed it from side to side. Out on the perimeter, those passes have to be short and crisp.
Coming up, 15 minutes to go here in this first half. Gamble Pavilion, Gary Apple, Tim Welsh along with you. And there's Brima once again. This one won't go down. And Duran comes out of there with it. Jack Montague missing, but Sears the offensive rebound. Boy, it's clear early, Timmy, they're not afraid to go at Connecticut to bang inside with them.
Brima's size, though, in the interior, just bothering Yale ever so much at the rim.
Rodney Purvis wide open, rims out.
Here's where they're difficult. They go 5 out sometimes. They drive into the gut, a lot of ball screens, and then kick opposite.
Matt Townsend straight away. A long 2 for Yale.
It's a clinic, Gary. Inside, outside, sharing the ball, reversing it, making the extra pass for Yale.
What a couple of weeks it's been for Matt Townsend, awarded a Rhodes Scholarship. One of the brightest young men playing the game of college basketball. Boatwright trying to create for himself. In trouble, finds Purvis. Little floater, and that's deflected by Sears, and Yale looking to run again.
Well, Yale is very good in the half court, but they will run an opportunity here, pushing up the floor, spacing it, and Townsend to the rim.
Jack Montague, not even close. Montague coming in, averaging 53% shooting from downtown. Sears, mid-range. And Matt Townsend keeps it alive. It's impressive how tough Yale has been early on.
Well, Yale has been good. Terrence Samuel has find a way to make a bucket in the lane, putting those big fella moves on. But then at the other end, a little loose pass, and Duran eating it up for Yale hot early.
"13 minutes, 15 seconds to go here. First half, Gamble Pavilion. Yale leading Connecticut 9-6. Justin Sears has not scored yet for Yale, but even when he's not scoring, he changes the game, Tim.
Well, Yale is smart. They're a veteran team. They played with each other all last season, and they want to draw attention going through Justin Sears, and he's a very capable passer. UConn knows that. He's dangerous on the low box. And you see, as they pitch it into him on the box, he draws not only his own man, but 2 other defenders are in his area. But they have the floor space, and they kick it back out. And when you have a capable passer on the box and can space out with another big man on the perimeter, it's very hard to recover to the shooter, and that's what Townsend did. He knocked it in.
Wholesale changes now for James Jones and the Yale Bulldogs. Matt Townsend has taken a seat, as has Jack Montague and Armani Cotton, replaced by Anthony Dallier. Makai Mason, number 11, who's got it. He's the freshman. There's Duran from the right side. Too hard off the back iron. Terrific play by Dallier to keep it alive. The sophomore out of Wexford, Pennsylvania.
Yale right now out hustling UConn in with the little stuff on the glass, loose balls. On the top here with just a little bit of a simple reach in. And again, UConn not in sync early.
Sam Cassell Jr. has checked in for Connecticut, as has Philip Nolan. Daniel Hamilton back as well. The good extra pass. There goes Mason. Cut off along the baseline. Sears inside. And Justin Sears opening the Yale lead to 11. Yale is on a 6-0 run despite missing 9 of their last dozen shots.
They're really sharing the basketball, moving it without the dribble, and when they do dribble it, they have their head up looking for the open man.
There's Sam Cashel, just 5 of 25 from downtown so far this season. Shot clock under 10. Boatwright pulling up from way downtown off the front iron.
The difference right now is Yale is moving the ball and moving the men, and UConn very stagnant.
Greg Kelly, number 32, also in. Too hard. And the freshman Daniel Hamilton hammered by Anthony Dallier, who picks up his first personal foul. UConn has not had a field goal since the 16:08 mark here in this first half. So James Jones and his Yale Bulldogs up by 5 in the early going. Yale Bulldogs leading the Connecticut Huskies 11-6 here, coming up on the 11-minute 45-second mark in the first half. Let's go over to Kareth Burke. Her report brought to us by Samuel Adams. Kareth.
Hi, Gary. Senior leader Ryan Boatwright coming off that sprained left ankle in the Texas game. And I asked the trainer, James Doran, was there anything special that you had to do to help Boatwright get back on the court to start this game? And Doran told me no, thankfully. All he had to do was the regular tape job for Boatwright on both ankles. Now, Doran noted that Boatwright doesn't like to wear ankle braces and he prefers to wear low-top sneakers. So with that combination, sprained or tweaked ankles are an issue that Boatwright has dealt with during his entire UConn career, but he's a senior, he's the leading scorer, he's never missed a game due to injury. The team really didn't doubt too much that he was going to miss this one, Gary.
Ryan Boatwright coming in 27th on the all-time Connecticut scoring list. There's Phil Nolan going to work on the low block. And the foul is called on number 32, Greg Kelly.
Well, everyone you talk to around the UConn program will tell you that. Ryan Boatwright is probably not ready for prime time tonight, but his toughness and his grit is showing because he wanted to be out here on the floor against Yale.
First foul on Kelly, third on the team as it goes off the hands of the freshman, Daniel Hamilton, and back over to Yale.
Got to get some better looks for Daniel Hamilton. He's a multi-talented player, but most of his buckets have been created by himself. They've got to try to run some plays for him and look for him in transition as well. He can really run the floor and finish in transition.
Javier Duran back in, hands to Makai Mason. This is a Yale team that has already played 9 games. They're one of 8 teams in the country that have played 9 games, and there is the freshman Mason working through contact and getting it to go.
The little guy taking it into the trees with toughness.
Yale is on an 8-0 run. UConn 5 consecutive misses.
See Purvis struggling with his ball handling. That's been an issue for him early in the season.
Purvis putting it on the deck, the floater, and that won't go down.
Not much offense by UConn. It's a lot all one-on-one. They have to share the ball, change sides of the floor, and set better screens.
Connecticut shooting just 25% in this first half. There's the freshman, Mason, has it rim out. Boatwright hard to the rim, has it rejected, and back comes Yale again.
Good help side defense by Yale and the recovery on the drive.
Dallier. Just under now, 10 minutes to go here in this first half. Yale has the lead by 7. James Jones, we had a chance to visit with him before tonight's game. He said he likes his team very much. He likes his veteran upper-class leadership, and there's Javier Duran again stepping into the passing lane, rising up and sending it in, and that brings Kevin Ollie up off the Connecticut bench, and none too happy.
Well, James Jones likes his team. What's not to like? They have done everything superbly tonight on the offensive end, but also defensively in traffic, coming over on the weak side, and then this is the second time that they've just stolen a simple entry pass from guard to wing, just loose with the basketball, no zip on it, nobody coming to the ball, and Kevin Ollie needed a timeout there desperately just to rejuvenize his team.
Connecticut shooting just 23% so far tonight. Amina Brima made those 2 early buckets. He's 2 of 3. The rest of the Connecticut team is just 1 of 10.
He's very tentative on offense, kind of just standing around. And Ryan Boatwright, as we know, is one of the best at controlling the ball in the half court, but he's got to involve his teammates right now, and his teammates have to do a little bit better job of helping him in the half court.
Kevin Ollie's team's usually pretty good, Tim, out of timeouts and plays that he devises. Going to be interesting to see here as they trail it by 9, what he's drawn up. It's Boatwright, Sam Cassell Jr., Philip Nolan, Rodney Purvis, and there's Nolan, and he misses the wide open dunk. Back the other way. Javier Duran strong to the bucket. And Yale has opened up a double-digit lead here on the Huskies as Ryan Boatwright tries to calm his troops down.
The dunk miss is one thing, but not getting back on defense and stopping the ball, letting the guy go coast to coast is unacceptable.
Cassell lines it up. That's a big 3. Sam Cassell Jr. Connecticut's first field goal since the 16:08 mark of this first half. They had missed 8 consecutive shots.
He's a confidence player. He struggled from the perimeter all year. Looked good on that one, had his feet set.
First bucket of the game for Sam Cassell Jr., who came in shooting just 5 of 25 from beyond the arc. Great back door, but Mason can't finish. Boatwright losing it. Yale with numbers. And Justin Sears finishing with a big dunk. He's got 4 points now for Yale.
Well, Yale is fun to watch, not only in the half court, but in transition, sharing, making the extra pass, and finishing with authority.
Yale coming off a win over Bryant, 67-60 on Wednesday. Off to their best start since the 2011-2012 season, and there's a touch foul on Duran.
Well, Yale has been aggressive on the offensive end, but their defense has been superb as well. Quick with the hands, and then on the attack, off to the races, and finishing with the extra pass at the rim. Yale, strong, confident, and dominating early over UConn.
UConn men's basketball on SNY, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, by DeGiorgi Roofing and Siding, and by Nissan. Drop in to Nissan's holiday event for the season's best offers. Shop ChooseNissan.com today. Look inside the library here at the University of Connecticut. Finals week. UConn going to be off for 9 days after today's game against Yale as they get set to hit the books, and Brian Boatwright out of the timeout. Terrific defense by the Bulldogs.
Well, though, it's 1-on-5, though, Gary. And Yale knows it. So when he puts the ball on the floor, everybody's attacking him as a dribbler.
Terrence Samuel back in for Connecticut. And there's a foul on Jack Montague. That's his first personal and the 5th on Yale.
Well, that's a good job by Sam Cassell on the rip through, understanding that Yale is getting up on his shoe tops. Montague not giving him any room to breathe on the perimeter, challenging him to put the ball on the floor.
Fresh 35 seconds for Connecticut. And another turnover. There goes Sears into the open court bucket, and the foul, the touch foul on Sam Cassell Jr.
Well, it started by a bad play by Boatwright, trying to do too much. We said it's 1 against 5. You cannot put your head down and drive into the lane against a good, solid defensive team like Yale. They are going to swarm the basketball. He's got to look to kick that ball out to the perimeter. Bad ankle or no bad ankle, he's got to make a smarter play with the basketball.
Well, that's the 6th turnover for Connecticut as Sears finishes off the 3-point play. Yale now with 10 points, make it 11 off that foul shot off Connecticut turnovers.
Well, Yale knows that Ryan Boatwright just dominates the ball. You see, every time he takes 1 or 2 bounces in the lane, they're going to attack him with that 2nd and 3rd defender.
Hamilton passed up the shot. If you're just joining us, don't adjust your television sets. Yale has the early lead here on Connecticut. First half Gamble Pavilion. It's 22-9. Shot clock under 10. Hamilton too hard, and Montague comes down with it.
UConn's going to have to get back in this game with their defense, try to create some turnovers, get out and pressure a little bit, some block shots, and get some easy baskets in transition, because their half-court offense has not been efficient at all.
Armani Cotton, the senior out of New York City, is back in, knocked away by Samuel, going to stay with the Bulldogs as Ken Facey checks back in. And Javier Duran does the same for Yale as Mason sits down for the Bulldogs, and Ryan Boatwright sits down for Connecticut. I'm not sure that ankle's anywhere close to 100%.
Well, it's not. There's no question about it. And he's given a gritty effort just to be out here tonight. But you know, he's got to get some help from his teammates. It's not all about Ryan Boatwright, and he is clearly their best player, but he's got to have a little bit more effort and enthusiasm on offense to move the ball.
Quick hands. Ken Facey comes up with the steal. Now Kevin Ollie telling us today that Facey has made huge strides. He's the leading rebounder on this Connecticut squad, stepping up. There's Hamilton. Can't get it to go, but he is going to shoot two.
You can see the talent of Daniel Hamilton, very evident, just playing a little bit of point forward at the top, just on that quick explosion and elevation in lane.
Foul on Armani Cotton, that's his second, the sixth on Yale in this first half. Daniel Hamilton, a 55% free throw shooter on the season, missing the first. To me, he's a slasher, somebody who likes to attack the tin. He's going to get fouled, going to go to the free throw line. Those numbers, they have to go up.
They've got to do some more stuff for him, maybe some baseline screens, just to give him a little bit more space, you know, on the wing baseline area, because he's a handful to guard and defend out there, and he's also a capable passer, but they've got to give him a little bit more creative offensively for him on the offensive end.
6 minutes to go in this first half. Connecticut has just 10 points. They're shooting 25% in this first half. Sears getting it back from Montague. Shuffled the feet, going back to the Huskies.
Well, the last two possessions, Gary, their defense was a little bit more, got up into Yale a little bit more, made it difficult for them to reverse the ball, made them take a couple more steps outside the three-point line where they're comfortable. So that's a good sign the last 2 minutes for UConn.
Mina Brime is back in, the big man, number 35 for the Huskies. There's that low block position that Kevin Ollie wants to see him get. And another turnover. Duran losing his footing.
Well, I suspect that Yale will do this a lot. And defensively here, UConn doing a decent job of attacking as the ball comes in the lane. But when Brima catches it on the box, they initially did not send the double team, but as soon as he bounced the ball once or tried to make a move, they sent another defender at him. He's only has 1 assist on the entire season, so I'd make him a passer.
3 consecutive turnovers by Yale. There's Brima going to work again, going to the left hand. Beautiful move inside by the sophomore, Amita Brima.
Well, that's a beautiful move. He carved out space, a nice delivery entry pass, but Yale's got to send that second defender earlier. Not wait till he puts it on the floor. I would attack him on the catch.
Amita Brima has 6 of the Connecticut 12 points in this game. Number 44, Sam Downey, is checked in, the sophomore from Lake Forest, Illinois. 4.5 minutes to go. First half, there's Duran sliding behind a screen. Hamilton in the open floor, and there's the freshman, Daniel Hamilton, rising up and sending it in.
Well, it started with UConn's defense. In the last 4 minutes, what they've done is they've got up into Yale. They've got into their chest a little bit more, made them feel uncomfortable, and that does what? That triggers the running game and a good look up the floor by Samuel, and that's what that man can do in traffic, as good as you get at the rim. Hamilton.
Now Duran trailing the play from behind. Hit Hamilton, charged for the foul, his second here in this first half.
Well, Mita Bryma, one thing he's done with being in the weight room is he has that ability now to carve out space. They've really been working with him, the lower body, to establish himself, get big up top, low base, and then the delivery, not a lot of wasted motion, nice left hand. And that's why I said Yale, he is too big and active and agile around the rim to try to double him after he puts it on the floor, because it's too late. Once he goes into a shot motion, he's going to just rise up and shoot over Yale's smaller inside players. But if you attack him on the catch while the ball's in the air, he's going to have difficulty making a move to the rim.
Mita Bryma voted to the preseason second team in the American Conference. Missed much of the summer because of shoulder surgery, so he is very much a work in progress for Kevin Ollie.
Not sure why Duran committed the foul. Hamilton was up and finishing that no matter what Duran did. Gave away a foul on a point.
Connecticut has chipped away at this lead. They've cut it to 7. I don't think there's any question the defensive pressure has been turned up.
Well, Kevin Ollie's not going to just sit and watch his team struggle on offense. You have to make things happen on the defensive end of the floor, which will create transition.
Montague with the shot clock at 10. Sears checking the shot clock, putting it on the deck, spinning. Tough right-hander, not good. And a foul on the floor.
Well, UConn has struggled in the half court, but they've got crept back into this game with their defense and the high-flying Daniel Hamilton at the rack.
They're out in force here at Campbell tonight. Connecticut down by as many as 13 in this first half. They've cut the lead down to 7. They've struggled offensively. Timmy, what's behind it?
Well, one of the reasons they've struggled is you must move the ball and move the men. If you don't do either, if you stand and just dribble in one spot and the weak side, you don't have much movement. See, everybody is standing on the weak side, which means what? The defense is just waiting for Ryan Boatwright on the attack, and they're very easily guarded, and you see just one pass and a contested shot. That's why UConn struggled in half court.
Connecticut shooting just 33% here in this first half. And Kevin Ollie was very vocal this week about his players needing to get in the gym. He said it's not just about the 2 hours during the day when they practice, but they've got to, on their free time and their off time, be in the gym, putting up shots, finding their place.
Well, that's all part of it, and that's part of the process, as Kevin likes to say, and that's getting that mentality of the extra work in your players. But I think the problem they have right now is just they're so new. Everybody's new out there on the floor for Connecticut. You can see they're not familiar and comfortable yet offensively against a good defensive team.
Montague, the runner. Bryma comes down with it. 3 minutes, 40 seconds to go first half here at Campbell Pavilion. It's been all Yale in this first half. Terrific defense. Mason on Cassell, little floater. Can't get it to go, and there's Sam Downey pulling down the rebound. You know, a season ago, Yale out-rebounded Connecticut in their matchup, and they're winning the battle of the board so far tonight.
Well, you just look at a team that returns all 5 starters that was successful versus a team that's basically almost brand new in every position out there on the floor. You see just the difference in the fluidity on the offensive end.
Sears, he leads Yale with 7 points in this first half, goes to the left hand, and off the window, Justin Sears.
Taking it right to Bryma on the chest. A little drop step with the left.
Sears had 17 in last year's game against Connecticut. He leads the way so far. He's got 9 for Yale. Samuel into the land of the Giants, can't get it to go, and Montague comes out with it. Sears had a notion. Terrible pass right there by Sam Downey, stolen away. Cassell. using his body and using the window. Sam Cassell Jr. finishing. He's got 5 points now for Connecticut.
Sam Downey out on the perimeter, not looking comfortable at all, making that reversal pass and just telegraphed it. Cassell, great move on the overplay.
Coming up, get all your first half highlights and analysis, plus going to take a look around the American Conference, hear from the players on the UConn men's basketball halftime show. It is presented by Ford. Under 2 minutes now in this first half. Yale has led just about the whole way. Last time Connecticut led was at 16:08 of the first half. Mason spotting Townsend, who's just back in. Look at Sears working inside.
Well, Justin Sears came to play tonight, showing a lot of toughness at the rim. Undersized, but a big heart.
Sears, 5 rebounds in this first half, averaging just under 9 on the season. Shot clock at 15. Montague, good up fake. That one won't go down. There's one thing I think we've seen, Tim. Yale is not in any way intimidated by the defending champs.
No, they're not, but they're feeling a little bit of pressure now with UConn's defense stepped up a notch.
Beautiful step back by Sam Cassell Jr. He now leads Connecticut. He's got 7 points as we're coming up on 30 seconds to go in this first half, and Yale leads it by 5. There's an errant pass by Makai Mason.
Sam Cassell can go get buckets, and if he gets into rhythm and gets his confidence back, this is exactly the recipe that UConn is looking for to get them out of their offensive struggles.
Sam Cassell Jr., son of Sam Cassell Sr., 15 years in the NBA for his father, now an assistant coach with the Clippers. Coming up on 10 seconds to go here in this first half. The shot clock is turned off.
Yale in a 2-3 zone here at the end of the half.
There's Boatwright. The high arcing jumper won't go down. Sears another rebound, and that is going to do it. UConn has now trailed at the half in 4 of their 6 games this season. Those 19 points for UConn in the first half, their lowest point total in the first half this season.
Well, Yale's made them. They've taken away the paint. They've taken away transition. Yale's been solid in the half court offensively. UConn picked up the pace a little bit defensively just to creep back into this game, but expect more offense from the Huskies in the second half.
Connecticut shooting under 35% in that first half. They trailed it most of the way, and at the break, the Yale Bulldogs lead the Connecticut Huskies 24-19. The Ford halftime show coming up. Steve Gelbs, Vin Parisi, Tariq Turner back in our New York studios after a break. UConn men's basketball on SNY is brought to you by Samuel Adams, by Town Fair Tire. Town Fair Tire supports UConn basketball. Go Huskies. And by Cadillac. Now during the Cadillac season's best event, lease an all-new Cadillac ATS for $299 a month. Visit your Connecticut Cadillac dealer for exceptional offers. Stay on top of all things UConn on SNYUConn.com, presented by Mercedes-Benz, part of the SNY.TV blog network. We get a look, first half stats presented by our friends at Cadillac, and neither team shooting the basketball very well. Both teams have turned it over a little bit. And when you talk about Connecticut, they've had trouble scoring the basketball. They've had trouble shooting the basketball in recent days. And let's go over to Kareth Burke right now. She's with the assistant coach, Glenn Miller.
Glenn, the Huskies had more turnovers than assists in that first half. What did you tell the guys at halftime about getting the offense going?
Got to pick up our energy on defense, and hopefully that will translate to some offensive transition points. Back in our heels, we haven't played hard on either side of the ball, and we've got to get to the offensive glass also.
All right, so it's coming down to stops.
Got to get stops right out of the gate here. First possession is Yale's. We've got to get a stop here. They have to feel us on both ends of the floor, and they certainly didn't in the first half.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, Kareth and Glenn, we thank you both. Certainly not playing hard. That's not going to make Kevin Ollie happy. Also can't be happy with the fact that his leader his all-everything point guard, Ryan Boatwright, did not score in that first half.
Clearly struggling with the ankle situation. Give him all the credit in the world of being out there on the floor. He's got to have some help from his teammates because his mentality is going to try to do some things on his own. He does control the ball. He's had a couple decent looks, but he's also forced some things into the lane, and Yale is just attacking him. Their scheme is tremendous. It's on point. When he puts the ball on the deck, they are attacking him with that second and third defender, and then off to the races on the other end. UConn has to find some energy, not in their half-court offense by forcing things with Boatwright, but Glenn Miller, I agree, it's got to start with their defense. And also on the glass, Gary, they missed 15 shots in the first half and only retrieved one of them on the offensive glass.
Ryan Boatwright 0-4 in that first half, played 15 minutes. As we mentioned at the outset, spent much of this week in a walking boot after injuring his ankle in that game against Texas. As we're set now here in the second half, Yale in their visiting blue uniforms. That's Javier Duran, their leading scorer, coming in just over 14 points per game. Duran, beautiful backdoor, creating space for himself.
That was just way too easy. Every pass was exactly where Yale wanted to throw it, and no resistance at all on the ball or on the catch to the wing.
Javier Duran now has 8 points for Yale. Hamilton trying to get to the baseline. And Yale comes out of there. There's Montague, back to Duran. That lefty jumper comes up short. UConn was 1 of 5 from downtown in the first half. Yale was just 1 of 11, and Yale has missed 11 consecutive three-pointers after hitting their first attempt. Boatwright. That's cleaned up by the big man, Amita Brima.
Well, we'll call that an assist. Not sure if it was. I thought he caught off balance. He attacked the 3 defenders, but the big fella on the backside with the flush.
Amita Brima now with 8 points for Connecticut. Justin Sears got away with a bad pass. Brima down on the deck. 2 big guys down on the floor right there, and it's a jump ball going over to the Connecticut side.
You see Yale's defense on the bounce. Boatwright got attacked by the 3 defenders, but on the backside left, Amita Brima wide open at the rim. Sears went for the block. He should have stayed with Brima.
67th meeting between Connecticut and Yale. The Huskies have not lost to Yale since back in 1986. But Yale giving them everything they can handle tonight. But there's Boatwright putting it up there for Brima. No question his intention on that one.
That was a pass and a beautiful set play by Connecticut. Running better offense here out of the gate in the second half.
Amita Brima with 10 points. He's the only Connecticut player in double figures. Ball's going to stay with the Bulldogs.
Well, this is a set play, just an isolation on the left side of the floor. A little handoff at the top, and on the roll, no backside help, and the big fella just too big and strong at the rim.
Brima's made 5 of his 6 shots so far tonight. Armani Cotton and boy, Sears, just great position inside to keep it alive. Wild shot. Boy, look at Sears work in there. Hammered. And they call a jump ball.
Well, Cotton is playing hard, but he's got to play a little bit smarter. He's in there just throwing the ball up on the rim, hoping that Justin Sears can retrieve it on his miss on the weak side. And he'd be better served to kick it back outside. You've got some open guards, and Duran and Montague just standing on the perimeter, ready to lock and load.
Kenton Facey takes a seat. Philip Nolan is in. That is Amita Brima's 17th block of the season. And another loose ball goes to Yale.
Well, Yale just dominated on the glass. UConn watching and Yale attacking.
Foul on Philip Nolan. That's his first of the game. offensive rebounds. A big story here early in this second half. There's Duren. He's the leading scorer on the Yale side. Shooting 44% on the season. There's Sears, the 18-footer. And Brima rips it down for Connecticut, and they look to push tempo.
Kevin Ollie not happy with that pull out of transition by Sam Cassell. Too quick and too deep.
Duren has it knocked away. He's going to shoot two.
Sam Cassell can get that shot at any point in their offense. And he just took a deep three right out of transition. He's going to hear it from the head coach. He's going to be replaced very quickly after that quick shot.
Foul was on Philip Nolan. He's picked up a couple of quick ones. And Kevin, in speaking to us this morning, Tim, had talked about the fact that he's a terrific shooter, is Sam Cassell, but he needs to find his place on the floor and not so early in shot clocks just settle for deep jump shots.
Well, it goes with playing at this level for the first time, and comfort. That's why you have to let the game come to you a little bit. Even though he's an aggressive, scoring mentality first type guard, he still has to play within the system.
Javier Duren now in double figures for Yale as the Bulldogs lead it by 5. That was the lead at the half. Yale comes out with it. They've got numbers. Duren, head fake. Gently off the back iron, it rolls in, and the lead is back to 7.
Again, Ryan Boatwright's decision-making and his lack of crisp ball handling, probably with a few days off, just looking a little ragged on the offensive end.
Daniel Hamilton putting it up for Brima, who finishes strong at the 10 once again.
Well, clearly, that's their best offense. Dribble drive into the gap and throw it back over the top. That's a good read by Connecticut of understanding that Yale has given a lot of help on the drives, and the backside has become open.
You know, Brima had just 4 in the loss to Texas. He's got 12 so far tonight. His season high is 14. Coming up on 15 minutes to go here in this second half, and there's a turnover. It's going back over to Connecticut.
Well, Yale has come out of the locker room with feisty defense, and you know what they're going to do. They're going to share the basketball and attack in transition. UConn a little bit back on their heels.
UConn wins.
Sunday, December 14th, UConn's basketball team, the men, return to action here on SNY. UConn going to take on Coppin State, presented by Sam Adams. Coverage begins Sunday, December 14th at 3:30 p.m. only here on SNY. Where would Connecticut be without Amita Brima so far tonight? He's getting it done both ends of the floor.
Well, he's very active in the half court offensively. He's just not standing and watching. He is reading his man defensively, understanding that when his man leaves him for help, he can slide over the top in the back of the defense and make things happen. Give his teammates all the credit in the world as well, because they're looking for him. And then, of course, his presence defensively giving Yale fits at the rim. And they need to keep going to the big guy inside. They're 3 for 4 field goal percentage in the second half because of the fact that they're going to the dominator at the rim.
Kevin Ollie told us this morning he likes his team. They're young. He understands they're young. There's a huge learning curve. They're certainly getting tested tonight, and this is going to be a pretty good learning experience either way, Tim.
Well, the problem UConn has tonight is that they rely so much on Ryan Boatwright, and his game is clearly off because of the ankle. And you know, where do they find other answers when they're so used to playing with him dominating the ball and the scoring?
Boatwright still scoreless on the night, coming in averaging just under 21 per game. There's the freshman Daniel Hamilton. Beautiful 10-footer, putting it on the deck and finishing. Daniel Hamilton with 6 points now for Kevin Ollie's squad.
Well, that was made available because they changed sides of the floor. They had better spacing. They moved the ball and the men and allowed him a little bit of an angle into the middle of the lane where he's pretty tough on the rise and catch and shoot.
Hamilton and Brima, they've got 18 of Connecticut's 27 points so far tonight. Justin Sears giving it up. Townsend. Duren. Matt Townsend, mid-range jump shot. He gets that to rattle in. He's got 6 points.
Well, Yale, what they're doing, they're spacing the floor. They're driving it right at Brima, and then when they on the drive, Townsend, who's being guarded by Brima, steps out, and he does not recover to his perimeter jump shot.
Lead is back to 5, and there's a foul called on Javier Duren.
Well, the space created by ball movement and the player movement on the outside allowed Daniel Hamilton that gap on the drive into the lane.
For the Bulldogs, number 11.
Duren's going to set. Makai Mason checks in. That's the 3rd personal on Javier Duren. Under 14 minutes to go here, second half at Gamble Pavilion. There's Hamilton spotting Nolan inside, and the lefty kisses in off the window.
Night and day from the first half on their offensive execution and movement. A lot more movement of the ball and the men, resulting in easy baskets.
Philip Nolan, 23 minutes in that Texas game, did not score. He's finally into the scoring column tonight. Mason into the land of the Giants. Sears coming up with another offensive rebound. Mason left open. And Nolan couldn't hold on.
What Yale is trying to do, Gary, is they're trying to drive it at Amina Brima, drive him off his man Townsend, and as he gives help on the baseline, you watch Townsend, he steps back out, and they know that, and it's too long a cover for Brima to close out to the shooter, Townsend, on the perimeter.
Justin Sears has a dozen rebounds in tonight's game, coming up on a double-double. He's got 9 points. Townsend, the long 2, and there's Boatwright. Ankle looked okay as he rose up to grab the rebound. Samuel putting it up from Brima, and the big man now with 14 points to lead the way for Connecticut.
Well, it started with their ability to secure the rebound, and then it's off to the races, and give Connecticut all the credit in the world in transition. They are looking for Amina Brima, and Boatwright, nice job on the initial push, kicked it up to the sideline and into the big fella at the rim.
Gary Apple, Tim Welsh, Kareth Burke back at Gamble Pavilion. Here's tonight's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz, who was the last in-state opponent to defeat Connecticut. The answer coming in just a little bit. I think I know, Timmy. It's been a while, though.
It's been a while, and Yale is scratching and clawing. And you can see how long James Jones keeps Javier Duren on the bench with 3 fouls. He's such an important piece. He's a guy that can match up with Ryan Boatwright. Here we see what Boatwright's trying to disrupt Yale with his full court pressure on the ball.
The freshman, Makai Mason from Greenfield, Massachusetts, son of a coach. Greg Kelly is checked in. So is Anthony Dallier. I don't think there's any question Connecticut's picked it up on the defensive end. Shot clock at 5. Kelly from the right corner, not good. And Samuel comes out of there and wisely holds it up, no numbers.
Again, good activity on the basketball. Everybody in a stance, active, feisty on the ball. UConn on defense.
Connecticut has a chance to take the lead. Last time they led was just over 16 minutes to go in the first half. They were up 6-5. Hamilton, tough shot, that's blocked. UConn shooting it at 45% in the game. Their shooting percentage has gone up. Sears, great feed inside. Kelly finishes off the window.
So Justin Sears is fun to watch. He probes, he dribbles back out and then finds the open man as UConn watch the ball.
James Jones saying that Justin Sears is in the gym more than anybody he knows. Young man, grew up in New Jersey, playing tennis. Was a tennis player since he was 4 years old.
Yale in a 2-3 zone on this possession, just trying to break UConn's rhythm offensively.
Hamilton with the shot clock at 2. Tough shot in traffic. And Mason comes down with it.
Well, that's a good way to negate the size over the top of Brima's. UConn standing around and looking at that 2-3 zone. They can still go to the big fella though, over the top.
Connecticut had their 44-game non-conference winning streak snapped here at Gamble on Sunday against Texas. Looking to get back on track tonight, but it's not easy here against Yale.
The presence of Brima at the rim. He did not block, but he disrupted Sears.
Ten minutes to go now, second half. And there's a travel on Phil Nolan, and boy, Kevin Ollie put his hand over his eyes, just dismayed at the mistake. So Connecticut down by 5 at the half. They trail it by 3 at the 10-minute and 1 second mark in this second half. Yale Bulldogs lead the Connecticut Huskies 34-31. Just over 10 minutes to go here in the second half. Tonight's drive of the game is presented by Buick.
Well, Justin Sears playing a little point forward. He's done it all on the glass. He can distribute, he can finish. And there, the little dime drop to Greg Kelly at the rack over Brima.
Greg Kelly, the senior out of Newton, Massachusetts, the team captain here for James Jones. As we get a look at Justin Sears on the Yale bench, he gets a breather. Entering tonight, Boatwright had been held scoreless just one time in 99 games for Connecticut. Ryan Boatwright has not scored so far tonight. Big reason why Yale has the lead.
Well, you're not 16 years at Yale as the head coach unless you know what you're doing, and you're pretty smart because you're coaching smart people. So
yes.
I imagine James Jones will get Justin Sears back in the game very quickly.
This is Anthony Dallier, number 1. Freshman, Makai Mason. Duran sliding behind his screen. That's halfway down. Kelly has the rebound, but Hamilton rips it away, and here comes Daniel Hamilton to Boatwright. And right on cue, there's Ryan Boatwright finally getting on the scoreboard.
Well, that was a very intelligent decision by Daniel Hamilton. It looked like he was just going to put his head down and go to the rim, but he saw that Yale was on the retreat, and Boatwright finally making something happen.
UConn getting better percentage shots here in the second half. They're 7 for 10 from the field in the second half, and Connecticut's going to get the basketball back.
Well, Daniel Hamilton usually would just take this and rise up and finish it himself, but he found Boatwright in the corner, and then Yale's defense never got set, and that looked like the Ryan Boatwright we know.
Sam Cassell, Kenton Facey both back into the game. Ryan Boatwright now 1,300 career points here at Connecticut, so a milestone bucket for the senior guard out of Aurora, Illinois. Former Mr. Basketball in the state of Illinois. Hamilton with the shot clock under 10.
It was good sharing of the basketball against the zone, but the ball never broke the three-point line. So it just kind of passed it around the perimeter. They never shrunk the defense at all against the 2-3. They've got to somehow get it into the middle, shrink it, and then kick it back out for the open 3.
A low-scoring game here at Gamble tonight. Townsend, plenty of room to put it on the deck, and he cannot knock down the mid-range J.
James Jones got to be happy with some of their shots. They're getting pretty good looks. Duran and Townsend both have ability to make those shots.
Boatwright can't get it down, and Kelly comes up with it.
And again, Connecticut really struggling to get any type of position on the offensive glass. Yale securing almost every time with great blockouts.
Duran might have gotten away with an offensive foul. Duran off the feed from Mason, and he extends the lead to 4. So every time Connecticut gets back within 1, the Bulldogs push the lead back.
Well, extra pass, and then the play that won't be in the stat line, a beautiful baseline screen for Duren.
Javier Duren with 15 points. Sam Cassell Jr. answers back for the Huskies.
That's a nice recognition by Cassell to slide down to that baseline as the defense was extended on the perimeter to Boatwright. He slid back.
And there's a steal. Boatwright rising up, lays it in, and Connecticut finally has taken the lead back from Yale. Townsend right back the other way to give Yale the lead once again. He's got 8 points.
James Jones, for the most part tonight, has kept the ball away from Boatwright, but he finds a way to stick his nose in there defensively to make things happen.
Well, the crowd now into it here at Gamble. The quick hands by Duren, but Cassell keeps it in Connecticut possession. Foul on the floor, going to be charged to Greg Kelly.
Well, if Connecticut's going to win this game, they need their little guy to direct traffic and their scorer to knock down some shots. Sam Cassell can do that. Good recognition by Boatwright, and of course, he will always disrupt at the point defensively.
Connecticut took the lead moments ago, but it was short-lived as Yale has now regained the lead at 39-38. Let's go over to Karen Berg, a report presented by Chevrolet. It's on a very special Yale player.
Well, Gary and Tim, earlier in the broadcast, I heard you guys talking about how Yale is such a smart team, and that made me smile because they have a Rhodes Scholar on the roster. It's Matt Townsend. He learned over the Thanksgiving break that he became a Rhodes Scholar, and that's an honor that only 32 students across the country get. Townsend is a 4.0 student majoring in molecular cellular biology. He wants to be a doctor when he graduates, and as a Rhodes Scholar, Townsend will study in England, where he wants to focus his studies on the prevalence of obesity. Now, UConn's Pat Lenahan was also a Rhodes Scholar finalist, but he was not one of the 32 selected. Lenahan also wants to be a doctor when he graduates, with a focus on cancer prevention. And if you're wondering why Lenahan isn't on the bench today, he had a med school interview. Gary?
I'm not sure I can pronounce molecular developmental biology, Tim.
Well, James Jones, that's why he's been at Yale for so long. It's fun coaching guys like Matt Townsend, where it's more than about basketball. It's the student athlete at Yale for sure.
Coming up on 6 minutes to go here in the second half. Yale has led it most of the way. They lead it by 1. There's Boatwright trying to draw the foul, and it won't go down off the front iron.
That's just the force, though, by Boatwright. He's trying to make something happen. It's crunch time against this zone. They need to work the ball, get it inside a little bit, and see if Yale will bite, and that will open up the perimeter for guys like Cassell and Boatwright.
Ryan Boatwright now 2 of 8 from the floor tonight. Duren working around the Sears screen. Dallier. Shot clock at 2. Duren. And now Sears. Not even close.
This looks like Ryan Boatwright doesn't have that slick, tight ball handling ability tonight that he normally has. And sometimes that happens when you take a few days off.
Hamilton had an open look, pulls up for a contested 15-footer off the iron. We're under 5 minutes. Duren back the other way. Going to stay with the Yale Bulldogs. Time now for the trivia answer presented by Mercedes-Benz. Last in-state opponent to defeat Connecticut. It was Hartford all the way back December 29th, 1986. They beat the Huskies by a point. It was Jim Calhoun's first season at the helm of UConn. Townsend had an open 15-footer that he passed up.
Well, they are challenging Connecticut, though, at the glass on every shot.
Beautiful pick and roll, and Sears is finally hammered, and he's going to shoot 2.
And to me, Gary, that has been the biggest difference, is that not only Yale has shared the ball and attacked inside, but when they do, when the ball goes up on the rim, UConn is having all it wants just to keep Yale off the offensive glass, where on the other end, Connecticut is just watching, and Yale is easily securing every defensive rebound. I saw that in the last possession. I mean, Casal skipped the basketball to Hamilton. Hamilton drove into the lane, and Casal just stood in the corner and watched him take a shot and never moved. He didn't run back for balance, or he didn't run into the lane to try to get a rebound. He just stood in the corner, which might as well buy a ticket.
Justin Sears, a 67% free throw shooter, makes 1 of 2 to up the lead to 40-38. Connecticut getting everything they can handle tonight from the Yale Bulldogs, whose schedule very difficult tonight here at Gamble, and then Monday they head down to play Florida, deep in the heart of the Sunshine State. There's Kenton Facey. Facey has not scored in tonight's game. Boatwright, quick hands ahead for Hamilton, who gathers and slams it down. Daniel Hamilton ties the game at 40.
Well, bad decision by Javier Duran on the offensive end. He was out of control. He should have pulled it back out. UConn feisty, Boatwright attacking the ball, and Hamilton finishing at the other end.
8 points for the freshman, Daniel Hamilton, 5 under his season average, but a big one right there to tie the game up. And James Jones wants to talk about it.
Well, Javier Duran has been a real good point guard all season long for Yale, but made a poor decision, just drove into traffic and got out of control, and UConn attacked the basketball, and Hamilton does a terrific job always when he sees a turnover running the other way to finish.
UConn's season low in points this year is 54. That was in the Texas game. They have just 40 tonight. UConn upcoming schedule presented by Sam Adams. Next game, Coppin State. They've got the 9 days off for finals. That game to be seen right here on SNY. Then Duke at the Izod Center in the Meadowlands, Columbia Central, Connecticut State. It's a difficult schedule, Timmy, at Florida, and then kicking into conference play.
There's no question about it. I mean, these games become all vital because the American Conference right now has come out of the gate very slowly. So I don't know where you're going to get a lot of quality wins in league. So especially you don't want to drop one at home to a Yale.
Had a golden opportunity to get a win against the top 10 team against Texas in this building last Sunday.
Shot clock is at 7.
Sears working on Facey, bails him out.
Well, UConn has struggled against the 2-3 zone, but they've created easy offense with tough defense. And Hamilton, the high flyer.
Steve Gelb's alongside Tariq Turner and Vin Parisi. Guys, what is the theme of the game so far?
Huskies stagnant offensively, to say the least.
And with the stagnant offense, they have to score off their defense.
Analysis. It's coming up on the post-game show also. Guys, back to you.
All right, fellas, we look forward to the post-game broadcast. Yale has led it most of the way, 34 minutes and 38 seconds. Connecticut has had the lead for just 54 seconds in tonight's game. We're at 3 minutes and 18 seconds to go, second half. Yale with the basketball, fresh 35-second shot clock. We are tied at 40. Javier Duran giving to Sears, the junior. Mason can't get it to go, and bodies hit the deck. Let's check in with Kareth Burke.
Gary, I was behind the Yale bench for that last timeout, and there was a smattering of excited voices. They're telling each other, take it. We've been ahead all game. We got a rebound, and this is why we work. And then Coach Jones told his guys, put the pressure on defense. Be smart about what you're doing, and don't foul. They broke that huddle with defense and rebounds. Gary?
Thank you, Kareth. James Jones, 16th season at Yale. He is the longest tenured coach in the Ivy League, as we're under 3 minutes now here at Gamble.
Yale staying in the 2-3 zone. Connecticut trying to set a lot of high ball screens. They need to try to get it into the middle, into that foul line area. I'd flash Hamilton in there. He can make things happen.
Shot clock at 15. Hamilton. Errant pass. Boatwright comes up with it. Ryan Boatwright rejected, but I think Sears' hand went up through the bucket. And that's going to be called goaltending as a result.
Boatwright, again, this has been his forte, the dribble drive on the baseline. And I don't think his hand went through the bucket, but he hit the rim. He disrupted it from the outside. He had a nice block, but his hand inadvertently hit the rim. Nice call by the officials.
It got caught in the net there. And so Connecticut has the lead at 42-40 with under 2.5 minutes to go. That's Sears. Armani Cotton is back into the game now. Townsend. Sears going to work on Nolan. Spotting Cotton, long three, rattles out. Bryant with a big rebound.
Cotton's a capable three-point shooter, but that was under duress. UConn did a nice job of closing out, and Philip Nolan giving Ollie very good minutes defensively, guarding Justin Sears down in the box, getting his big body around his backside, not giving him any space to create angles to the rim.
Yale is just 2 of 20 from beyond the arc in tonight's game.
UConn's running their offense way too far out. They need to get into the gaps closer to the three-point line.
Boatwright has it swiped away by Cotton. They had numbers, but they gather and pull it out. Duran, he's called for an offensive foul.
Well, we've seen this over the years. Philip Nolan giving up his body, a very good defender on the box, but also in help side, squaring up. Slight move to the baseline, but got in legal guarding position. I thought his hands got in there, and he might have grabbed before the charge.
I'm not sure about that call.
Fortunate call for Connecticut.
The little tricky step there by Duran, and it looked like Nolan may have shifted.
He put two hands on the dribbler, which is an automatic foul. So he got away with one on that play, but Nolan has a good knack of getting his body going in the opposite direction and really selling the charge. This is what he did. And sometimes when a play comes up on you, an official, and it gets too tight, you kind of lose it. Now there's a foul right there by Nolan. He sticks his leg right into Duran. That's a poor call.
Well, I don't think there's any question. He was in position, and then Duran with that head fake. Nolan sort of went for it and shifted his body, and as you said, Tim, he put the two hands on him.
Here's the problem UConn has on the offensive end right now. Yale is in the 2-3 zone, and they are running their offense about 25 feet from the basket. The point guard at the top, and then the two wings are way out on the perimeter, so they don't have to be guarded out there. So Yale doesn't extend. They are tight in their 2-3 zone and just daring UConn to shoot from the perimeter, and when they do pass it around, they're easily closing out and sliding on the weak side to cover the rim and cover the lane. So UConn has to get the ball with a pass into the foul line area to shrink the defense, or a ball screen, dribble penetration into the gaps for a driving kick, maybe to a Casal on the perimeter, or get the defense to come up a little bit and throw it back over the top to Bryma, which they've been successful with.
Each team with just 4 fouls here in the second half, so neither close to going over the limit. I heard Glenn Miller say at halftime, UConn had to play harder. They have played harder in the second half. They've defended better.
There's no question about it. Yale only has 16 points in this half, but it's just they've been challenged offensively. Let's see their attack here. They've been running a lot of high ball screens in this zone, but the wings have to step in. If the wings don't step in shooting areas, then Yale doesn't have to go out and play them.
Coming up on a minute to go here in the second half at Gamble Pavilion. Connecticut has the lead by 2, and the shot clock is at 10. Daniel Hamilton with the shot clock at 2. That's not the shot they wanted, and it's going to go back over to the Bulldogs.
Again, Gary, they never got the ball inside the three-point line. There was no penetration by either the dribble or the pass. Look how far out they're running their offense. They're easily guarded here on the perimeter. There's no movement of men. Just everybody on the wing is staying at about 23 feet from the basket, and Yale's not going to go out and chase them out there.
1 possession game, final 45 seconds. The Yale Bulldogs on the road here at Connecticut looking to pull the upset. The crowd on its feet. This is Javier Duran being guarded by Samuel. Jack Montague. Wide open. Townsend can't get it to go, and Hamilton comes down with it. And the foul is called on Armani Cotton. That's his third, and the fifth on the team, and a wide open look for Townsend.
Well, Yale's had a lot of wide open looks, both from the three-point line and Townsend in that mid-range area, and he has that ability to knock down that shot. I don't think James Jones is disappointed in the execution. It was just not finishing the play.
Offense, defense switch. Samuel sits back down, and Sam Cassell Jr. checks back in.
Well, this is where Yale has a problem, because now they're going to have to chase Ryan Boatwright, and if Kevin Ollie gets the ball into Ryan Boatwright, which he's going to try to do with this timeout and design something for him, he will not give it up until he's fouled.
Kevin Ollie wants to talk to his team. What's he telling them right now, Tim?
Well, he's going to set up a play to get Ryan Boatwright the ball. There's no question about that. And Yale has to somehow, some way, face guard him, maybe take somebody off the ball and put that second defender on Ryan Boatwright. But even with that, he is so tough to handle. Kevin has just an NBA playbook full of sideline specials that I'm sure he's going to design one right now. Something they probably ran for him when he was in the NBA to kill the clock, because no one's better in college basketball at trying to chase than Ryan Boatwright. If he does get the ball, he's just going to dribble the clock out, and Yale's going to be forced to foul him.
13 years of NBA experience for Kevin Ollie, with the Mavericks, the Cavaliers, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Bulls, the Pacers, the Timberwolves, the Nets, Seattle, and Oklahoma City. What a career he has had, both as a player and a coach. So final 25 seconds, Connecticut by 2. Shot clock is off. They've got the basketball. Montague commits the foul, and still Yale is not over the limit. That's their 6th.
Well, they doubled Ryan Boatwright. They took the defender, the second defender, Sears, off the basketball, and they face guarded, and they played one on the side of Boatwright, but it's still to no avail. He is just jet quick.
Hamilton trouble getting it in. Finally does to Cassell in the quick foul by Makai Mason.
That's a good job by Daniel Hamilton, just not forcing it into Boatwright. Clearly, everyone in the arena knows he's looking for Ryan Boatwright, but he was covered, and you've got to try to just get the ball in bounds. Good execution by Connecticut.
Sam Cassell Jr. shooting free throws at 73% this season.
Sam Cassell Jr.
Cassell in double figures. He's got 10 points. Time Villanova won a game with scoring under 50 points all the way back February 11th, 2002. UConn, I should say. They beat Villanova 46-40. And 2 big free throws from Sam Cassell Jr. as he sits down, and Shango comes in for defensive purposes.
Well, you would think Yale may run down and take a quick 3. They'll look for the 3. Obviously, if it's there, but if not, they're going to have to drive it to the rim, try to get a quick score, and then set up their pressure.
Yale's had all sorts of chances tonight. They're just 2 of 20 from beyond the arc. They've been a pretty good three-point shooting team all season long, coming in shooting it at just under 35% from beyond the arc, but a very different story tonight.
I'll give UConn's defense all the credit in the world, and sometimes it's very difficult to play consistent, tough defense when your offense has just been on sputter the whole night. But the second half, it's just been UConn up into Yale's chest.
UConn has fouls to give as well. Will they play it out? Will they give those fouls?
Well, I think they're just going to play it out, but it'll afford them to be very aggressive on the perimeter and on the basketball and switch some screens.
Durant right to the 10, giving it up to Sears. Gets hammered. He's going to go to the free throw line.
UConn 35, Amita Brima.
The foul is called on Amita Brima.
Well, they were going to look for a quick three, but Connecticut, as we spoke about with fouls to give, they were aggressive on the perimeter. They weren't going to give up a look from outside the arc, so they drove it into the gut. And toughness by Sears.
Justin Sears, the first Yale sophomore to be named first-team All-Ivy since Chris Dudley was back in 1985. Dudley had a solid NBA career, 16 years. Sears, 2 big free throws, cutting the lead back to 2 with just under 14 seconds to go. So Yale is not going quietly into the Gamble night.
Well, Kevin Ollie, this is experience as a coach, understanding that he has a lot of lack of experience in these type of situations out there on the floor. I mean, really, the only guy that has been in this type of situation at the end of games where the game is on the line is Ryan Boatwright. So, make sure, again, that Ryan Boatwright gets the ball. I look for Daniel Hamilton, who inbounded. He did a solid job on the last possession on the sideline. Now, he's going to have the ability to run the baseline. I would think they'll send Boatwright opposite the ball. They'll have Hamilton run the baseline towards Boatwright to get him the rock again.
Reminder, the People's United Bank postgame show coming up following our broadcast. Steve Gelbs, Vin Parisi, and Tariq Turner standing by back in our New York City studios. Final 13 seconds here at Gamble, Connecticut, with the basketball at a 2-point lead. Boatwright hit by Sears. A couple of seconds went off the clock.
I'm very surprised how easy that was. That was a nice play design, but Yale just didn't switch off and allowed Boatwright just one-on-one coverage, running right back to the basketball.
Ryan Boatwright has not been to the free throw line so far tonight. He is an 81% free throw shooter. Make that 83% free throw shooter on the season. Don't forget, missed a big free throw at the end of the Texas game. Only hit the front end of that 1-and-1, leading to the Texas three-pointer to win it. Boatwright cannot knock it down, and Sears comes down with it for Yale. They've got a chance to tie or win with a 3, and Sears losing it. And they're signaling that it's going back over to Connecticut, but I think they're going to take a look at that.
Well, Brian Kersey had the call on the perimeter, and I think he made the correct call. It looked like Sears just drove in, a little bit of resistance in the middle of the floor, and he just lost control of it coming in. And we'll see. It might be off Nolan's arm, and I think James Jones is correct. He's going to get this ball back.
Watch it again. Sears trying to take it to the 10. Nolan.
It's off Nolan's elbow. There's no question about it. This is why it's great that we have this rule now that you can look at the monitor.
Two of the officials looked at each other. I think there was question about it right from the time they blew their whistles.
Now, the other thing the officials need to look at is the time. I think, James Jones might be able to get a few more tenths of a second. Added on. I think it was about 3.6, 3.7. Veteran crew. They're going to take a look at every angle. And
close, Jimmy. I'm not sure. Maybe a couple of tenths.
Oh, he's giving it back to Yale. There's no question. And I think it's going to be 3.5 seconds to go. And
so what do you do here? You go for the tie or for the win?
Well, you go for the best shot. I mean, you're going to run a little screen-to-screener action, see how UConn reacts. And at the end of the Texas game, they switched. They were supposed to switch on every screen. They didn't. That's why Texas got the open shot. So Kevin Ollie, I'm sure, communicated that to his players.
Javier Dern inbounds. Montague, the deep 3, and he buries it with under a second to go. Jack Montague stunning the crowd here at Gamble Pavilion.
in the same corner that Texas broke the hearts of the Husky fans. A perfectly designed out-of-bounds play. Montague came over from the other side of the floor. Ice cold all night. A little step back. And a dagger for Yale.
Jack Montague breaking the hearts of the Connecticut faithful.
I think what happened here, Gary, is that Montague, all of UConn's defenders were turned in, and he just slipped opposite. And sometimes that is the best spot to be available on the baseline out of bounds if all the defenders turn into the ball. And watch here, Montague. Can't see him there on the screen, but he just steps from the other wing down to the corner, and Casal turns his head just for a second, and it gave him enough room and an angle to make a real difficult shot.
Jack Montague came in as the 13th best three-point shooter in America at just about 53%. Biggest shot of his career. He now has 101 points on the season. He had 92 all of last year.
Well, he has been their most improved player, and he does come from the other side of the floor. He just runs to the other corner, and it's kind of a misdirection. And there is a well-schooled team. They knew what they wanted to do, and Yale got a free timeout when they went to the monitor to see whose possession it was. And it wasn't a screen. He just sprinted to the other corner. Now, this is big because now UConn will get a shot at the rim. At point two, they would have only been able to get a tip. But now they will be able to get something going to the rim. Full court pass, maybe to Brima, or Boatwright on a sprint dribble, catching it at half court and running it to the three-point line.
Connecticut has only lost 3 consecutive under Kevin Ollie once before. As we watch it again with the clock, keep an eye here. And they're going to put 1.7 on the clock, and how amazing is it? That is the same exact corner that Jonathan Holmes of Texas hit the three from last Sunday as the Longhorns came in here and knocked off the Huskies 55-54. And well, you can see the excitement on the Yale side right now, but it's not over yet.
Well, how about the new rule that they put in a year ago, the ability in the last 2 minutes or 2 minutes of overtime to correct an out-of-bounds play involving players from opposing teams.
Well, here was Sunday when I talked about Jonathan Holmes with 4.4 seconds to go, slipping free into that same exact corner and knocking down the game winner. So Philip Nolan going to inbound with 1.7 to go. Connecticut on the verge of 3 consecutive losses. Javier Duran makes the steal, and they celebrate. The Yale Bulldogs have come in here to Campo Pavilion and pulled a monumental upset over the Huskies here tonight.
Well, Gary, this game and the tempo and the feel was established in the first 10 minutes when Yale just came out, played with a lot of confidence on the offensive end, and a terrific game plan defensively, just attacking the ball as it got into the lane. UConn scratched and clawed its way back to the lead and into this game with great defense. But again, it was their offense that stalled and sputtered down the stretch, and Yale, the veteran team, with a big shot to win it.
Let's go over to Kareth Burke. She's with the winning coach.
Well, Coach Jones just told me that he feels like he's getting older. So your Bulldogs walked into Campo Pavilion and defeated the defending national champs. What are you proudest of?
Where we stuck together and hung in the entire basketball game. We're a much better shooting team than we showed tonight, and shots wasn't falling. And I told the guys, just keep shooting, have confidence. And Jack came out and made a big shot. I knew he was going to make one, and he did.
Did you design that for Montague, or was that a moment of opportunity?
It was a moment of opportunity. It was one of the options on the play. It wasn't the first option, but thank God that's where we went.
What does this win mean for your team?
Say again?
What does this win mean for the team, for the program?
Well, it's hard to think about right now, but I'll digest it and try to get ready for Florida on Monday. But it's a great feeling for us, and I knew we had a chance, and the guys hung together and got it done.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
James Jones, awfully proud of his squad. Player of the game, presented by People's United Bank. It's Justin Sears, one of 2 Yale Bulldogs in double figures.
Well, Justin Sears Offensively, his shots weren't falling, but give him all the credit because he just kept attacking UConn's bigs and played a fearless game. And even on the possession where he lost control at the end of regulation, he still had the sense to just drive the ball to the rim and put his nose down. And Yale made all the toughness plays down the stretch that they needed to somehow win this game.
Theatrics here at Gamble Pavilion, the junior out of Brentwood, Tennessee. Jack Montague, the game winner. Let's watch it one more time. He had not scored in the game, but the big three-pointer, it was the difference as Yale gets the win over the defending champs, 45-44. Tim and I are back to wrap it up in a moment. UConn men's basketball here on SNY is brought to you by Samuel Adams. By People's United Bank. People's United Bank has checking choices that are right for you. Visit peoples.com or your local branch, member FDIC. And by Subaru of New England. Love what makes a Subaru a Subaru. The UConn men's ice hockey team off to a hot start in its first year of Hockey East action. Check out all the excitement at the XL Center this year. Get your tickets now by going to UConnTickets.com. Yale Bulldogs shocked the basketball world tonight. They come in here, knock off the defending champions by a final of 45-44. They go to 8-2 on the season as UConn has now dropped 3 consecutive. They're 3-3 on the year. The next UConn men's game on SNY going to be Sunday against Coppin State. Our coverage begins pregame show at 3:30. Our next UConn women's game on SNY will be on December the 19th at 7:30 against the DePaul Blue Demons. Coming up next is the People's United Bank postgame show. Steve Gelb, Tariq Turner, Vin Parisi standing by in our New York City studios. Jack Montague, the game winner, dramatic fashion as Yale pulls off the upset. For Tim Welsh, Kareth Bergen, I'm Gary Apple. We thank you for joining us. We send it back down to the studio in New York.
Gary, thank you so much. This is the People's United Bank post-game show. I'm Steve Gelb. He's Vin Parisi. He is Tariq Turner. And oh my goodness, what a finish in that Yale-UConn game. Yale really deserved to win this game throughout the majority of it, but UConn came oh so close to stealing this one until for the second consecutive game they lose in the exact same heartbreaking fashion. Let's take you through the final seconds of this game. UConn up by 2. Ryan Boatwright at the line. He misses the free throw, so rare for Ryan Boatwright. Up comes Yale, taking it up the floor. Justin Sears, who had had a great game, loses it out of bounds. Originally, it's UConn ball, but if you can see right here, clearly,
yeah, you know what?
Phil Nolan.
And one of the best rules they put in college basketball.
That they could go back and look at it. So now 3, no shot, right? Yeah, it just happened. Yale was 2 for 20 from beyond the arc before that final play. Jack Montague 0 for 6 from the floor. Pretty good time to hit your first shot, and then it was all over but the crying. So Yale, an Ivy League team, beats the defending national champions.
It feels like March
on their home court. It
feels like March
right?
Madness.
It does. And, you know, it's one of those moments that you look back and say, well, how did this happen? I mean, Yale hadn't made any threes. They made 2 of 20 up to that point. And great play call by James Jones, misdirection, and there was no one out to switch out on Montague, who got a clean look.
You know, it's funny because we were talking right before that happened just amongst ourselves, and I almost made a joke saying, how ironic would it be if they hit a 3 here, because it would have been so bad from beyond the arc.
But for it to be the same spot from the Texas game.
Unbelievable.
And this just, I mean, just the other day, Boatwright's injury, the buzzer beater from Holmes in the corner, literally the same exact spot. Unbelievable.
Let's talk about that in just 1 second, but Vin, I wanted to get your take. Were you surprised, based on how poorly they had shot from downtown, that was even remotely a chance that they would draw up a play?
No question. I mean, listen, let's count that made basket at the end. Tariq, when's the last time a team's gone into the defending national champs' home, shot 3 for 21 from downtown? Usually when a team like this upsets somebody like this, the three-point shot is a big reason why.
Yeah, and you know, it's just a testament to the fortitude of Yale. They were not making shots. They played a horrible offensive game when you look at percentages, but the confidence, the resolve, the execution. They set great screens. Montague cut hard, and it was a great inbounds pass as well. A perfect pass where Montague could catch it and do something with it.
Let's take a look at the game stats, which are presented, as always, by Samuel Adams. And this is one of those games where you look at the statistics and maybe they paint a different picture. As you see, Yale shooting just 33% from the floor, 14% from beyond the arc. Interesting in terms of the rebounding, because UConn, we had talked about it in the pregame show, that was one thing, even when they were bad, they were still out-rebounding their opponents tonight. They get out-rebounded by 11 by this Yale team. For more, let's send it right back out to Gamble Pavilion. The guys who called the game, it is Gary Apple, it is Tim Welsh. Guys, that was wild.
It was indeed. And, you know, as you mentioned, it's been a pretty good rebounding Connecticut team. They out-rebounded Texas last time out. In Texas, we know how big and strong they are. But what are the chances, Timmy, we're going to see things play out the way they did? Boatwright in consecutive games, tonight and the Texas game, down here misses a big free throw and then a game-winning three to break Connecticut's heart.
You know, we all want to look at the last play and put everything on one free throw here or a missed opportunity defensively there. But really, I mean, you missed 24 shots for the game and you only retrieve one offensive rebound.
Right.
That's effort, that's energy, that's toughness, that's lack of focus, whatever way you want to put it. When you have the athletes that Connecticut has versus a Yale team that's undermanned, really athletically and size-wise in the paint, and you only get one offensive rebound on a night when you struggle offensively, really, that just, Kevin Ollie can point right to that. That's why they lost the game. You know, they shot 55% in the second half, but still, opportunity has to be created sometimes by other ways than just running your offense. And Yale, listen, they scratched and clawed. They found a way to win. They went to the zone late in the game, and it bothered Connecticut. Connecticut didn't get any penetration inside the three-point line. They didn't get any offensive rebounds.
Right.
And Yale, they turned Yale over a little bit, but Yale, this is what veteran teams do, especially guys from the Ivy League. They're smart. They understand that, listen, this is just a basketball game. I've got to go take some final exams in the next couple of weeks that are much more important. But that's the way they played tonight, with a lot of confidence. And James Jones was confident coming into this game. And again, Vin and Tariq and Steve said it well. You go 2 for 20 from the three, and you have the fortitude, or whatever you want to call it, to take a three to win the game on the road. But that's what Yale's all about. They'll challenge Harvard in the Ivy League for sure.
I think they will. We said it at the outset. And you're right. When we were spending some time with James Jones, right before he came out for tonight's game, he was not daunted by tonight's game. He felt his team had a pretty good shot at doing what they did tonight. As far as Connecticut goes, that's 3 consecutive defeats now. Where do they go from here?
Well, they've got to get Ryan Boatwright healthy for sure. I mean, he wasn't himself tonight, and give him tremendous credit for going out and trying it and playing hard all night long. He just didn't have his A game for sure. His ball handling was off. His decision making wasn't there. His ability to create havoc defensively was lacking at times as well. So, but they need some help. They need some help from Hamilton. They need to understand how to face a zone. Maybe change the lineup a little bit. I'd like to see them put Hamilton at the 4. I think he'd be a real tough matchup at the 4 for them because he's such a good player in the lane. But right now there's no space when they play the 2 big guys in the lane. Everybody's just packing it in against Connecticut. They're going to have to find a way to get other offense out there on the floor, and they've got to get Rodney Purvis back on the floor as well. You know, he was a 0 tonight as well, probably because of the injury.
Only played 8 minutes. Certainly that knee has been an issue. The ankle has been an issue, kept him out of the Texas game, and he was pretty much a non-factor as Connecticut falls here in a bit of a stunner, fellas. I don't think there's any question about that. The way it happened, back-to-back games, Texas and now Yale, I think there's a little bit of shock here on the campus of the University of Connecticut. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Appreciate it, Gary. I think there's some shock in this studio after what we just saw. I do like what Tim Welsh was saying, though, about how the focus will be on that last play. But this really was not a game that UConn deserved to win. If you look at the statistics of the game in terms of time of lead, UConn only led the game for 3 minutes and 24 seconds this evening. So this was really a game, and you talk about the shooting percentage of Yale. I mean, if they even shoot 30, 35% from beyond the arc from the field, this is a much different game, and it's not something that you need to rely on that last play.
And, a lot of times when you look at box scores with these type of upsets, things jump out at you at the box, when you really dissect the stats. And think about what we talked about in the pregame show. We talked about Amita Brima and Cassell picking up their offense. And you look at the box score post-game, and they were the 2 leading scorers for Kevin Ollie. That right there shows you how wacky of a night it was for the Huskies.
And another thing we brought up in the pregame was offensive rebounding, and UConn having to do a good job of that. Yale, coming into this game, was known for offensive rebounding. They averaged about 12 a game, and they dominated that facet of the game. 13 offensive rebounds. You look at the percentages, they didn't shoot great. 34%, but they had 10 more field goal attempts. The game is about possessions, and they had the ball more in crucial situations. Although their percentages weren't there, they out-rebounded, and that was the difference maker to me when you look at the whole stat line.
13 offensive rebounds again for Yale, just 1 for the Huskies on this night as they fall. Big upset to Yale at the hands of Yale, 45-44. We got plenty more to do here on the People's United Bank post-game show. We will recap these full highlights, even though that's the one that will be seared into UConn fans' memories. Also hear from the head coach, Kevin Ollie. Plenty more to do as we roll on. Steve Gelb, Vin Parisi, Tariq Turner back with you on our People's United Bank post-game show. Ryan Boatwright, that was the big story going into the night. Would he play? Would he not play? He did play 35 minutes, but clearly was not 100%. Just 6 points on 3 of 9 shooting. Did have 6 assists, but turned the ball over an awful lot 4 times. There's a number of ways to go with this, guys. Let's just start bigger picture with Ryan Boatwright. Is this just one of these, he wasn't healthy, and he gave it a shot, but he's not himself?
Well, only he's going to know that.
Yeah.
Obviously, him and the staff said 85% on the ankle, but Boatwright's so tough of a kid, he was not going to let that keep him out of the game, and I bet you he's not going to use that as an excuse after. Credit Yale's on-the-ball defense. They forced him into a lot of tough, contested deep jumpers tonight.
They did, and you could tell he was careless with the ball, uncharacteristic of him, especially in the first half. I thought he was more looking for his shot than trying to be a playmaker. He settled down in the second half, got some nice lob passes to Brima, and kind of got his team in rhythm. But I thought the first half he was not in his normal character in terms of controlling tempo, looking for his shot, and setting his teammates up.
And I think the 2 things that really get Boatwright going sometimes when you watch him are him knocking down 1 or 2 long balls from downtown and getting some action cooking at the free throw line. And you look at the final stats tonight, 0 for 4 from three-point land for Boatwright and 0 for 1 from the charity stripe.
When it comes to the turnovers with Ryan Boatwright, there's a number of things you can say when you're talking about how an ankle injury affects a player, but it did seem like, good ankle or not, he was just a little more careless than usual.
Well, he was overly aggressive, especially in the first half. A couple possessions, he just forced the action when there was nothing there, and he tried to get into a gap that there was probably better to reverse the ball and kind of work the ball side to side and then kind of get into screen and roll action. But I thought he settled down in the second half, but surely I think he was anxious. I think he was trying to kind of test his ankle to see if he can get away with some different kinds of penetration, and it wasn't working well, which caused him to force the action.
Maybe reading too much into this, but when you do see a guy that's so good at the free throw line miss a big free throw like that down the stretch, and he has been so not himself throughout the game, does that sometimes contribute to what he can or can't do at the line? I know you're not really looking at your ankle in that position, but just in terms of how he really never got into that same flow, could that have had an impact at the end?
I think that's the word. I think it's more flow. We've seen Boatwright be clutch before from the free throw line. It just, every single time you thought that maybe they could mount a run and maybe he could start putting things together, the Bulldogs would cut that momentum.
Man, I think he just missed the foul shot. I don't think it had anything to do with the flow. I mean, he's a guy who wants the ball in his hands. He wants to put the team on his back. He went up to the line. He looked confident. His form was good. His mechanics were there. He just missed it. And he's the kind of guy who won't make excuses. He'll come back versus Coppin State with a better game.
So next time you can just say, yeah, Gelbs, you're reading too much into it.
I mean, it's a good theory. I liked it.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights in case you missed any of the action from Gamble Pavilion. UConn hosting Yale. Ryan Boatwright in the starting lineup despite spraining that ankle on the final play of the game on Sunday. Huskies struggling early. Yale up by 7. Boatwright rejected by Javier Duran, who had a great game. Big block by Turn right there. That kind of set the tone for that first half. Next, UConn possession. Bad pass from Daniel Hamilton. And guys, this was the theme of the first half, the turnovers.
Yeah, and not live ball turnovers. As Tariq mentioned earlier, the Bulldogs are turning those mistakes into buckets.
And then look at that. Talk about a mistake. That's just... You're going to want to burn the tape if you're Philip Nolan on that one. Later in the first half, Yale up by 10. Boatwright loses the ball. Justin Sears the other way, the hoop, the harm. Yale up by 12, but UConn would come back, make a run at the end of the first half. Daniel Hamilton, the dunk, he was fouled as well. UConn down just 7 after the free throw was good. Then it's Sam Cassell Jr., who had been struggling through the first 5 games. He had a good night. Hits the step back Jay. UConn down just 5 at halftime. Second half, Amita Brima, he finds Boatwright, who throws the lob back to Brima. That was one of the prettier plays of the night.
Well, high percentage shots, and Brima was a big part of that in the second half. But I thought Boatwright settled down, made the game easier.
And then, of course, you just said it, Brima, he had a big second half. There he was again. Under 4 minutes to go, UConn down by 2. Boatwright with the steal, up ahead to Hamilton with authority. Game tied at 40. Gamble feeling it. Now 11 seconds left. If you watch the beginning of our post-game show, you know what happens. Boatwright with UConn up by 2, misses the front end of the one-on-one. Yale goes the other way. Justin Sears loses control of the ball, goes out of bounds. Play would be reviewed, and guys, this is a no-doubter after review.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Yale dodged a bullet there, though. Sears was losing that handle.
And then, 2 for 20 beyond the arc before that play.
Could have been 0 for 20. He made the last one.
That is the only one that matters. Jack Montague, the dagger 3. Yale takes the 1-point lead. Final chance for UConn. Inbounds pass, stolen in midcourt, and Yale pulls off the upset. Final score, 45-44. UConn drops 3 in a row, something they did not accomplish, or accomplish is probably not the right word, did not happen to this team at all last season during their national championship run. And guys, we saw Justin Sears, you talk about dodging a bullet by Yale, getting that ball back, a little bit of trouble with the handle at the end, but outside of that play, just a great game all around.
Yeah, when a game's scoring in the 40s, 12 points is a lot of points, but it's the intangibles that he brought to the table tonight. He was a monster on the boards. He ran with the guards, stayed out of foul trouble. He's a big at 6'8" that could handle it and be comfortable like a guard at times. And listen, this is going to be the story of the Bulldog season. He'll be a first-team All-Ivy League guy.
He's a guy that you have to recognize as one of the top players in the country at his position. He's not a Tier 1 guy, but he's certainly a guy that you have to pay attention to him on any scouting report. He had 17 and 10 versus UConn last year. We know what he did versus Providence. He's a guy that's a big-time player. Not only does he score and rebound, but he blocked shots, and he also had 3 assists.
All right, well, speaking of blocked shots, Amita Brima, he's one of the best in the country at doing that tonight. Got his offensive game going a little bit more as well, even though it was in a losing effort. We're going to talk a little bit about Amita Brima coming up on this post-game show. We're also going to hear from the head coach, Kevin Ollie, as soon as he gets into that interview room at Gamble Pavilion. UConn loses by 1 to Yale. Keep it locked. Wyoming, SMU, the only other game with an AAC team involved this evening. Larry Brown, of course, hosting the 7-0 Wyoming Cowboys. Jason McMenamin from 3 puts the Cowboys up by 6, but it wouldn't last. Nick Moore drains a triple. SMU takes the lead 45-44. Moore was on fire in the second half. Pulled up, knocked down after getting a nice friendly bounce. 7-point lead. Moore had 25, including 11 straight down the stretch. Under a minute to go, SMU lead is 9 off the turnover. Here comes the exclamation point. It's Ben Moore with 2 hands. SMU hands Wyoming their first loss, 66-53. Take a look at the up-to-the-minute American Athletic Conference standings. Of course, conference play has not yet started, so take these for what you will. Cincinnati, Tulane tied atop at 6-1. UConn down at the bottom, just above Memphis. UConn 3-3. Tonight, the UConn player of the game, number 35, the sophomore co-captain Amita Brima. This player of the game is presented by People's United Bank. Brima, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block in a losing effort this evening. He was 7 of 8 from the floor, so rebounding from a tough 1 of 7 day against Texas. And guys, we spoke about Amita Brima before the game earlier tonight, talking about defensively he's been great and he's made some strides offensively, but you wanted to see him get a little more involved, pull down a couple more offensive rebounds, and be a little more assertive. Did you see that tonight?
Yeah, you're right. The production was up. He was aggressive with the ball in the post early, and he finished off the guard's deliveries. But Kevin Ollie, from what he's been talking about in practice the last few days, is still going to need more than 4 rebounds in 35 minutes of play, especially when conference play rolls around.
Well, that's the biggest hole in UConn's team is the lack of front court presence, the lack of rebounding. And obviously, Brima is the guy you need. 8 to 10 boards is a goal.
Yes.
You know, it's a reasonable goal because he's long, he's athletic. He needs to get more physical, but with his motor and his ability to outrun guys and get angles, he should be able to get more than 4 rebounds. He didn't lose this game tonight. He played very well, especially in the second half, finishing around the rim. But he definitely has to rebound the ball better. That's the biggest hole in his game.
Yeah, and Tariq, you know, that one game against Texas was kind of an outlier. Yeah. He's been really good in terms of shooting percentage so far this season. Again, 7 of 8 this evening. If he could just get up to that rebounding mark and maybe because of it add 3-4 more shots per game, that could be a real boon for this team offensively.
Well, we talked about the game being about possessions, right? Yale had 13 offensive rebounds. UConn just had 1. Yale had 10 more offensive shots. So it's about getting the ball up to the rim. And Brima, even if he's not scoring, if he's a factor on the glass, it makes things easier for the guards.
And it frees up, gives more freedom, gives more confidence to the guys like Boatwright, like Tariq's mentioning with the guards, because now maybe it's contested, maybe it's a tough runner or floater in the lane, but they have the confidence to put it up on the backboard because they know their bigs are crashing.
Let's head back over to Yale for a second. You brought this up before the game as well, Tariq, that Javier Dern, someone that you wanted to watch, and he did not disappoint this evening offensively and defensively.
He's a good player. I like his size. I like his athleticism. I really liked him in the first half, his defensive presence. He got into the passing lanes and really kind of opened the game up. You see him right here get a steal, a live ball turnover that led to a dunk. He's a guy that can guard 1s, 2s, and 3s. He didn't shoot the ball well from the perimeter, but he was active defensively. You see the block. He's a guy that you have to account for because he affects the game so many ways with his size and his speed.
Listen, there's a lot of times that the head coach's preseason polls, I think they're way off. They were right on with the Ivy League. This team was picked number 2 behind Harvard, and I think Tommy Amaker's ball club, Harvard, if they're going to get knocked off in the Ivy League, it's going to be by James Jones's club.
Well, he was the game's leading scorer, was Dern, 15 points on the night. Daniel Hamilton, someone else we spoke about in the pregame show, and he's going to have his nights as a freshman. Just looked so good the first 5 games. What did you make of tonight where he did not shoot all that well, just 3 of 11 tonight and 8 points?
He did. He was pressing, but now those baskets he did make, once again, he gave you glimpses. He gave you little moments to show you why NBA scouts are traveling to Storrs, Connecticut to go look at this freshman. It's because of his athleticism on the break. It's because of how dynamic he is. And write this. Tariq said this when we were in the film room. That's a pro move right there. It looks like Rip Hamilton with the mid-range game. I think it's an adjustment period as a freshman, and they still got to get into flow.
You mentioned Rip Hamilton. He has a chance to be the next great wing guard in UConn history, and we've seen a lot of them. Rip Hamilton, Rudy Gay, just to name a couple. What I like about him is not only that he can score the ball, I love his poise. I love the fact that he rebounds aggressively. He plays the whole entire game, and that's very rare to see from a freshman.
You know, what we're doing right here on the post-game show is we're really quizzing everybody to see if they watched the pre-game show because we're basically going.
How's that going?
Well, I think if you're out there, and I wish we could have a way to kind of say, who are we talking about next? Because there's one person that we've yet to talk about, and we talked about on the pregame show. There's no way of us to judge it, but it is Sam Cassell Jr., and he is one guy that we had our doubts about in the pregame show, at least speaking about how he had fit in early this season, only shooting 25% coming into the game, even worse from beyond the arc. But he was probably one of the major bright spots for this team tonight, 4 of 6 shooting, and what was it, 12 points.
Yeah, and moving forward for the Huskies, I'm talking after we get past the holidays and we move into American Conference play, you need depth. And you need X factors, and you need multiple guys contributing, especially on the perimeter. As much as last season we talked about Napier and Boatwright think about how many times we talked about Niels Gaffai. Sure. I think as he adjusts from the junior college game to a high level of college basketball, Cassell could be that guy for Kevin Ollie.
You hit it right on the dot. Guard play is the biggest driver of success in college basketball because those are the guys making the decisions when there's a shot clock winding down or big decisions to be made is usually in the guard's hand. Cassell is a shot maker. He hasn't shot the ball well leading up to this game. I saw some good things tonight. Very solid game by him, and he's a guy, whether he's scoring or starting or coming off the bench, he needs to be a double-figure type of guy to spread the floor.
You said you saw some things tonight. What specifically was different? Was it just that the shots were falling, or did you see something specific?
Well, he didn't force. I thought he did a good job of creating his own shot within the flow of the offense, and he's a guy that can create space with his shiftiness. He's a crafty scorer, not very fast, but knows how to create space. Nice pull-up jumper, and he's a guy who has pretty good size at 6'4" to get to the rim and help them on the glass.
People couldn't cheat Shabazz Napier last year because you had to play him honest because he had Ryan Boatwright on the perimeter to complement his offensive game. These other guys, as they continue to play better, it will only free up, it will only make Ryan Boatwright more effective.
Well, speaking of Ryan Boatwright, the story going in was that he was playing tonight. There was some question as to his status. Turns out the fact that he was in the game was not quite enough for the UConn Huskies as they fall their third consecutive loss. This one to Yale, 45-44, a heartbreaker at the buzzer. We'll hear from the head coach when we come back. Time now for the drive of the game presented by Mercedes. UConn pushing it up the floor. Terrence Samuel, the lob to Amita Brima for the slam. One more look, nicely done by the Huskies. Co-captain right there, Amita Brima. He went 7 of 8 from the floor tonight, 14 points in the loss. Upcoming schedule for the Huskies. It is presented by GMC. 9 days off for final exams. Then it's Coppin State on the 14th. And then number 4 Duke at the Izod Center before Columbia CCSU. That is Central Connecticut State and Temple. Let's focus in on that Duke game. And, guys, you don't want to say any of these games are gimmies, but that's the real one that the way this UConn team is playing right now, they got to elevate big time before they get there.
No question, and obviously where they're at their season, that takes on even more of a significance because the non-conference power schedule is going to help their body of work when they go to the selection committee in March to hopefully make the NCAA tournament. Duke is loaded. I mean, we've seen them play.
This is one of
they
Coach
have
K's
the best player in the country in Jaleel Okafor. They have Justin Winslow, Tyus Jones. They have 3 or 4 pros on their team, and they're playing great basketball. That's a game that you definitely have to highlight as a big opportunity for UConn.
But I guarantee you, when you talk to Kevin Ollie right now, he's worried about his own locker room because before they get to that matchup, they have several things that they need to take care of themselves moving forward.
Well, you said it. Reporters talking to Kevin Ollie right about now. We're going to get you out there to Gamble Pavilion. This was our view, everybody's view watching on television, of the dagger shot by Montague. Kevin Ollie, he had a better seat for it, probably enjoyed it a heck of a lot less. Here he is with the media.
Just another miscommunication in the corner. That corner is not my favorite corner. Just a situation where we keep getting down in the second half. And in the first half, and we got to come out with intensity. We got to come out and focus. It's better coaching. I got to do a better job finding the right combinations that can come out there and play and do what we expect and play UConn basketball. We got to find some toughness in that locker room somewhere because I'm not a loser, and the guys in there in that locker room are not losers. And we at the bottom right now. We at the bottom right now. But it's either two things: we stick together as a group and fight and try to go win Coppin State, or we point the finger and make excuses and separate. And when I come back to practice, I'm gonna find the guys that's gonna stay in the middle of the ring with myself and my coaching staff and this great university. And it's embarrassment. And Yale played good. Yale is a good team. They're a veteran team. We played good defense on them. But when you get out rebounded by 11 and you shoot the ball like we shot in the first half, and that's a bad combination. And that's the one thing I was really hanging my hat on is our rebounding, and it just let us down. I never seen it before in my life, one offensive rebound in a game. Just never seen that ever coaching. And I just got to do a better job finding guys that's going to be tough, that's going to fight, and play, for each other. I think we got a lot of, individuals right now. And, we got to understand we have to fight for each other, and we got to play together. And, I'll find those guys. I've been down before. I know how to fight my way out. I know how to find the right guys to fight their way out, and we will do that. We'll play better. I liked our defense. It kept us in the game, but, when you get down 13 points and 11 points, you got to play a perfect game. And once again, we miss a free throw at the end, and, they get a three-pointer. And, it's just a lack of communication again. I mean, everybody see the play. It's just a lack of communication. That comes down on me. I know I'm not playing, but, I just got to do a better job in them last situations, finding the guys that's going to communicate and follow the game plan.
Questions? Coach, give me about 15 and 11 a game, Brian, Nolan, Casey. What do you thought those guys would be? Getting more production out of your front court? What do you about those guys?
I expect more than one offensive rebound. So, the numbers is the numbers, but you have one offensive rebound and, get out-rebounded by 11. That's not no good. And you can have all the points and all that stuff, but we got to get tougher as a group. And I just don't see it from my front court. I don't see it from my back court. And toughness is not just going to hit somebody. Toughness is being mentally tough. And we have to do that. We got to get stops, and I think we got stops. But then at the end of the game, you got to communicate. You got to be mentally strong to communicate and do those different things. And as a team right now, we're not doing it. We just not doing it.
Ryan took just 9 shots today. Was his ankle factor?
I don't think so. Ryan got to do a better job. With the 4 turnovers. And they was just careless turnovers, but I applaud his effort out there because a lot of people sitting on that bench and, hurt and, and I know his ankle hurts and he got up there and played. So, I got to applaud that. But, as a team, we got to shoot better. You got to make and take wide open shots. You got to be confident. But, my captain is there. And, we're going to go with him. He still stuck his nose in and got, 4 good rebounds. But, you can't just have those 4 turnovers. And, they're not even ball pressuring us. We got 13 just careless turnovers. And we got to do a better job in that area.
Is it now getting better shots 2 at times, Kevin, as far as scoring more points, just getting better shots?
Yeah, it's getting better shots. It's getting out on the break. It's definitely, moving the basketball. Understanding situations, who's open. We got to play off the catch. I mean, all the different things that we've been, telling our guys. And, we just got to do a better job in that. I was proud of Amita coming in and getting his points. But at the end of the day, you got to get more rebounds. You get 4 rebounds. He plays 35 minutes. You get 3 rebounds. Kenton plays 25 minutes. Then you look at Sears, 34 minutes, 15 rebounds. So we got to get tougher. We got to find some guys that's going to get dirty and get their nose in there. And that's the job of a coach. And like I say, we at the bottom right now. But I'm not going to give up on my team. I'm not going to give up on myself. And, I'm going to just keep fighting, and my team going to keep fighting. And I just got to find the guys that's going to stick together, is not going to think individually, and going to think as a team.
Kevin, 43 shots, is that low number, is that just the rebounding? Is that a reflection of your rebounding?
I mean, it's rebounding, it's turnovers. I mean, you have 13 turnovers, and you give 13 offensive rebounds. You give 1 offensive rebound. I mean, you get 10, 11 offensive rebounds, you putting those balls back up, hopefully. So, it's a combination of a lot of things, and that's the most important thing. They get 13 offensive rebounds, and they out-rebound us by 11.
Did Rodney re-injure himself tonight, or was this kind of ineffectiveness?
I mean, it just, he was limping around, and, I just didn't think he was effective, and, just give it a chance to heal. But, I just thought our energy picked up in the second half, and I was going with the guys that was playing hard. Not saying Rodney wasn't playing hard, but that group in there, Sam starting, and then Tank Sam's coming in and got us back in the game. So.
On the shot, was that a late reaction to somebody getting over there, or was that a big curve?
You'll see it. Boatwright had Montague, and, he was pointing for the switch, and then Sam took a couple steps in, and, Montague just came off and, got open, and then Sam was late to retreat. So it was just a communication again, and it's things that we went over in practice to stop, and, we just got to do a better job reacting to late game situations and switching it, Boat called the switch, and, but we just didn't react fast enough, just kind of like in the Texas game.
Thank you.
Well, a very disappointed and clearly irked head coach of the UConn Huskies, Kevin Ollie, and he had some really strong words. Let's start with this. He started off his press conference by saying, we've got to find toughness in that locker room somewhere, find the guys who will get it right. He mentioned that a couple of times, talking about finding the correct individuals. So this doesn't seem like just a, hey, let's fix what we got. It almost insinuates some big changes coming down the pike.
Well, you know what I love, and you mentioned it, is he always starts with himself. Coach Ollie, he always starts with himself and what he could have done as a head coach and a staff collectively to get his team ready mentally. He's talking about mental toughness. These kids are all tough, but mental toughness means fighting through adversity, communicating, helping each other out, getting in there and rotating and getting angles to get rebounds. The key word, the buzzword was rebounds, obviously. He talked about that pretty much the whole press conference, and obviously that's the thing he's most disturbed by.
What I loved about that presser is that he didn't talk about any high-level complex X and O strategy. He talked about effort, and he talked about toughness. Now, there's going to be nights over the course of the season to where you do shoot 2 for 11 from three-point land, but you cannot have games where you have one offensive rebound. One offensive rebound and 13 again for Yale. So that was a tremendous disparity and a big difference in the game tonight. The next game on SNY will be the next game the Huskies play. It's against Coppin State a week from Sunday. That's December 14th. Pregame starts here at 3:30 p.m. 4 o'clock is the tip-off. Guys, before we go, quick final thought. Vin? I think this Coppin State game, you're going to see a lot of differences, maybe not so much with the rotations, but I guarantee you with the effort, with the loose balls, and with this team hustling defensively. Tariq?
No question, the sense of urgency is up. I'm sure Coach Ollie will get this team to respond. They'll get back on the winning track.
All right, that is going to do it for the People's United Bank UConn postgame show. Tariq Turner, Vin Parisi, guys, thank you so much. A brutal one for UConn tonight as they lose 45-44 in heartbreaking fashion to Yale. It's now 3 in a row. I'm Steve Gelbs. Have a good night, everyone.